call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence. Please be seated. Everyone has a copy of the minutes from last month's meeting. Any additions and or corrections? And I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Everyone has a copy of their treasurer's report. Any questions? All right, then I will make a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Bills to pay for the month of May have been reviewed and audited by 3 commissioners, so I'm going to make a motion to pay vouchers 1 through 23 for a total of $104,110.98.
Second.
Tony?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Communications.
Just to throw out there in case people are questioning, there's the reason why it's a little bit higher than normal is because there is a truck payment of $45,000. There's $14,000 for legal fees for the bond resolution that we're going to read. So that's a couple of reasons why that's a higher number in case anybody is curious. Sorry.
You're good, thanks. Communications, we did, unfortunately, we got an email at about 5 o'clock from the Lysander Executive Board. Unfortunately, I don't have my phone, so I can't read it. I don't know if anybody else
I would be willing to read it.
Okay.
Alrighty. It says commissioners addressed to the commissioners, Chief D, Chief Kevin D, Chief Natoli, CC Mr. Bogowich, Jen Martin, and Adrian Jetty. Commissioners, as I cannot make the district meeting tonight, I am sending some notes and discussion from last night's meeting. I apologize for just getting this to you. I'm going to read it exactly how it's presented, just so you know. It reads, no commissioner at meeting, no chief at meeting, 3 chiefs out of town, but no Lysander caption, but I believe it's meant to say captain, was asked to be the car 5 in both capitals. I believe it's meant to be captains, were past chiefs. Members are being asked to turn in equipment, but not the officers in board are being notified. Members are being investigated to see if they're telling the truth. We still can't put meetings or events so they come up on the finger reader. As far as faxes, sometimes there is a need to fax. We can't scan an email with what we have. A landline out here would be helpful. We also discussed that all PCRs, if any changes are made, are supposed to be faxed, not emailed. Is this true or false? In the form of a question. I know some of this is operations, it is best to do if this way so everyone is in the loop. We still don't feel anything or very little has changed as far as communication and working with us. Sometimes a phone call is needed. Lysander Executive Board, Jack Klein with his cell phone number. That was how it was written.
don't know if we want to address anything on there. Tony, I know you wrote an email back. I don't know if you want to.
I did respond, if that's...
I just wanted to address a couple things on here on
Well,
my side. So,
let me, if it's appropriate, I'd be more than willing to share what I responded, or how I responded, I'm sorry. Normally I don't, but I felt that was the right thing to do. Bear with me here. Okay, I wrote and I'll again read it to you as I wrote it. Jack, below I have responded to your comments the best I can. Please understand that these are my thoughts, not necessarily the board's, and definitely not the chief's. I hope you are well. The first question was no commissioner at a meeting. I simply wrote, it's going to happen once in a while. I personally worked 14 hours that day. No chiefs at the meeting was the statement, and I wrote exactly how it is. 3 chiefs are out of town, like you had mentioned. 3 chiefs are out of town, but no Lysander. Caption, meaning I'm sure that was captain, was asked to be car 5. Both capitals were past chiefs. Again, I'm assuming he meant captain, and I wrote simply, that's nothing to do with us. However, I'm a past chief of 15 years and didn't get asked either. It's Chief D's choice who to put in. It's going to be very rare that 3 chiefs are out of town at any given time. Members are being asked to turn in equipment, but the officers and board are being notified. I'm assuming it means not being notified. I wrote very clearly, I'm thinking you meant to say not being notified. I guess you might have to be a little bit more specific on this. That's what I wrote. Members are being investigated to see if they're telling the truth. I wrote, honestly, I'm not sure what it's about. However, I say the truth on items is important. Another question, we still can't put meetings or events so they come up on the finger reader. And I wrote, I do not understand what you mean by this. A next statement question, as far as faxes, sometimes there is a need to fax. We can't scan or email with what we have in the landline. That would be helpful. We also discussed that all PCRs, if any changes are made, are supposed to be faxed, not emailed. Is this true or false in the form of a question? I wrote, Chris will have to chime in on this because I don't know. In the last statement, I know some of this is Mr. Klein mentioning this. I know some of this is their operations, but will it be best to do it this way just so everyone's in the loop? We still don't feel anything or very little has changed as far as communications and working with us. Sometimes a phone call is needed. And I will read my exact response. Change with exclamation point. When there is changes, a few choose to blast it all over social media without the entire story. That is sometimes tough to deal with. And then I also wrote change a second time. This will only occur when all parties work equally. To be completely honest, this is obviously doesn't happen and some don't want it to. It takes effort. I personally see emails daily, as a matter of fact, multiple times daily, and I wrote, thanks for reaching out, Tony Mack. That was as black and white, as honest as the emails, and addressed to everybody that was CC'd on that. That's the communication.
I just wanted to, and I'll respond to Jack, the whole issue about him not being able to put events on the kiosks. That's my fault. I need to change his access to allow him to do that. When he ceased or when his term ended as a commissioner, he got, put back to standard access. So I'll get that changed. And then as far as the fax line, we don't need a fax line. We're paying extra for it. You're paying, I think it was $34 a month for the extra phone line that was used hardly ever. As far as the PCRs, I'd have to reach out and ask, but I can't imagine you should be faxing anything to do with medical records. Faxing, they're gonna...
Actually, no, they do. Only reason I say that is because of the doctor stuff that I've been getting from my guys that have been out through the illnesses. They will not email and scan. They will only fax.
So, I know
So
PCR.
we may have to change something there at that point.
Yep. I know PCR, correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, you mail and PCRs, correct?
Hey, nope,
No? How do you send them?
I don't, I've never sent a PCR in my life. They're, that's,
I was gonna say, I believe when I was chief, you used to do it for me. What did we do with that?
I didn't do anything with PCRs.
Rob, you gotta take your mask off.
I didn't do anything with PCRs. But I think that's going to be an operational, whereas the departments handle the PCRs with reporting to the state on those. I just don't know if it's email, fax, mail, however that is.
So we just gotta simply find out, if it is what it is, we gotta do what's right, and we will, we just gotta confirm, that's all.
And it totally has been taking care of all the PCRs, if I remember correctly, because he's been reviewing, make sure everything's been filled out correctly. So I'll get in touch with him, because I believe he's the one that actually takes care of all that reporting for the PCRs.
Just let me know what you find out.
Okay, yep.
Thank you, Tony, for doing that.
You want?
Administration, I do not have anything.
No. Actually, sorry, the one thing, I don't know if we call it under administration or not, just getting back with the policy review. We set up that policy review committee and it kind of fell through.
So I've actually just been waiting for Brad, because he's rewriting all the policies. I was waiting for Brad because he's rewriting all the policies. He actually just reached out to me today, because he was supposed to come to the meeting tonight and he had an emergency to go off from Long Island. But he said he's halfway done with them, and he asked me if he wanted to send that half or hold them, and I said send them. So as soon as I get them, I'll bring it back up.
Probably a little easier to do half at a time.
Yeah.
That was all right.
Okay. Financial, so believe it or not, it's time to start thinking about 2022 budget. So the budget has to be adopted by September 28th of this year. So looking at keeping the same opposite Tuesday, I think we could start July 6th. I know it's right after the holiday. If that doesn't work for at least 3 of the commissioners, let me know. But if we start, that'll give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings prior to the September 28th date. I think that's more than sufficient. I think last year did it in 4, maybe 5 max. So I think if we start at the 6th, if we wanted to push it to the 20th, we probably could, but if everyone's good with the 6th at this point, we'll start with July 6th and then see how we go. Okay. All right, now, I apologize, this is going to be very long. So we have a resolution to adopt, and the reason that we are doing this is we are going to be refinancing a bond that was originally done to purchase Station 1 and 2. So we are going to be refunding a bond resolution, and it's like 11 pages long, so bear with us.
Becky, do you want to read one page and then he'll read the next? I'll read the next and rotate right down. You got 11 pages here.
Yeah, I don't care how we do it.
I mean, whatever.
Rick offered, so
I was gonna start,
Have at it, brother.
gonna let him run until he got tired.
Have at
I
it.
don't totally fog up my glasses.
Take your mask.
Resolution 21-24, refunding bond resolution. Refunding bond resolution dated May 11, 2021. A resolution authorizing the issuance of refunding bonds of the Northwest Fire District, Onondaga County, New York, to be designated substantially refunding serial bonds and providing for other matters in relation thereto and the payment of the bonds to be refunded thereby. Whereas the Northwest Fire District, Onondaga County, New York, hereinafter the Fire District, has outstanding $1,773,000 of serial bonds 2015 dated December 21st, 2015, originally issued in the aggregate principal amount of $2,065,000 and maturing or matured on December 21st annually through 2040. The refunding bonds pursuant to a bond resolution dated August 7, 2015, the resolution, and whereas the refunded bonds carry interest rates that are higher than interest rates available in the current capital markets, and whereas it is now desired to authorize the Fire District Treasurer as Chief Fiscal Officer of the Fire District to refund and refinance the refunded bonds in order to achieve the lower interest rate and present value debt services savings. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District, Onondaga County, New York, by a favorable vote of not less than 2/3 of said board as follows. Section 1. As a local agency pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, as far as Section 8-0101 and implementing regulations 6 NYCCR Part 617, the regulations, the Board of Fire Commissioners, having reviewed the classifications of actions contained in the regulations, hereby determine that the issuance of refunding bonds to refund the refunded bonds constitutes a Type 2 action under the regulations and is not subject to review under SEQR. Section 2. For the object or purpose of refunding the outstanding aggregate principal balance of the refunded bonds, or such portion thereof as the Chief Fiscal Officer shall determine to be in the best interest of the Fire District, including providing monies which, together with the interest earned from the investment of certain of the proceeds of the refunding bonds herein authorized, shall be sufficient to pay the principal amount of the refunded bonds, the aggregate amount of unmatured interest payable on the refunded bonds to and including the date on which the refunded bonds which are callable are to be called prior to the respective maturities in accordance with the refunding financial plan, as hereinafter defined. The cost and expenses incidental...
You can also try.
Sorry, Siri. Lost my spot. The costs and expenses incidental to the issuance of the refunding bonds herein authorized, including without limitation the development of the refunding financial plan, as hereinafter defined, compensation to the underwriter or underwriters, as hereinafter defined, costs and expenses of executing and performing the terms and conditions of the escrow contract, as hereinafter defined, and fees and charges of the escrow holder, as hereinafter defined. Number 4, the redemption premium to the paid on the refunded bonds, which are to be called prior to their respective maturities. And 5, the premium or premiums for a policy or policies of municipal bonds, insurance or cost of other credit enhancement, facility or facilities for the refunding bonds herein authorized, or any portion thereof. They are hereby authorized to be issued not exceeding $1,805,000 refunding serial bonds of the Fire District pursuant to the provisions of Section 90 or 90.10 of the local finance law. The Fire District refunding bonds or the refunding bonds, it being anticipated that the amount of refunding bonds actually be issued will be approximately $1,775,000 as provided in Section 7 hereof. The Fire District refunding bonds shall each be designated Substantially Refunding Serial Bonds 2021, together with such series designation in year as is appropriate on the date of sale thereof, shall be of the denomination of $5,000 or any integral multiple thereof, except for any odd denominations if necessary. Not exceeding the principal amount of each respective maturity shall be numbered with the prefix R followed by a dash and then from 1 upward, shall be dated on such dates and shall mature annually on such dates and such years, bearing interest semi-annually on such dates at the rate or rates of interest per annum as may be necessary to sell the same. All as shall be determined by the Fire District Treasurer pursuant to Section 4 thereof. It is hereby further determined that A, such refunding bonds may be issued in series. B, such refunding bonds may be sold at private sale at a discount in a manner authorized by Section 90 or 90.1 as appropriate of local finance law. And C, such refunding bonds may be issued as a single consolidated issue. It is hereby further determined that such refunding bonds may be issued to refund all or any portion of the refunding bonds subject to the limitations hereinafter described in section 13 thereof relating to approval by the state comptroller if required. Section 3. The refunding bonds may be subject to redemption prior to maturity upon such terms as the fire district treasurer shall prescribe, which terms shall be in compliance with the requirements of the local finance law. If less than all the refunding bonds of any maturity are to be redeemed, the particular refunding bonds of such maturity to be redeemed shall be selected by the fire district by lot in any customary manner of selection as determined by the fire district treasurer. The refunding bond shall be issued in registrated form and shall not be registratable to the bearer or converted into bearer coupon form. In the event said refunding bonds are issued in non-certified form, such bonds when issued shall be initially issued in registered form and denominations such that one bond shall be issued for each maturity of bonds and shall be registered in the name of CD and Company as nominee of the Depository Trust Company, Jersey City, New Jersey, DTC, which will act as securities depository for the bonds in accordance with the bonds entry-only system of DTC. In the event that either DTC shall discontinue the book entry-only system or the fire district shall terminate its participation in such book entry-only system, such bonds shall thereafter be issued in certificated form of the denomination of $5,000 each or any integral multiple thereof, except for any odd denominations if necessary, not exceeding the principal amount of each respective maturity. In the case of non-certificated refunding bonds, principal of and interest of the bond shall be payable by check or draft mailed by fiscal agent as hereinafter defined to the Depository Trust Company, Jersey City, New Jersey, or to its nominee, CD and Company, while the bonds are registered in the name of CD and Company in accordance with such book entry-only system. The principal shall only be payable upon surrender of the bonds at the principal corporate trust office of such fiscal agent or at the office of the fire district secretary as fiscal agent as hereinafter provided. In the event said refunding bonds are issued in certificated form, principal of and interest on the refunding bond shall be payable by check or draft mail by the fiscal agent as hereinafter defined to the registered owners of the refunding bonds as shown on the registration book of the fire district maintained by the fiscal agent as hereinafter defined as of the close of business on the 15th day of the calendar month or first business day of the calendar month preceding each interest payment date as appropriate and as provided in a certificate of the fire district treasurer providing for the details of the refunding bonds. Principal shall only be payable under surrender of bonds at the principal corporate trust office of a bank or trust company or bank or trust companies located or authorized to do business in the state of New York, as shall hereinafter be designated by the fire district treasurer as fiscal agent of the fire district for the refunding bonds, collectively the fiscal agent. Refunding bonds in certificated form may be transferred or exchanged at any time prior to the maturity at the principal corporate trust office of the fiscal agent for bonds of the same maturity of any authorized denomination or denominations in the same aggregate principal amount. Principal and interest on the refunding bonds may be payable in lawful money of the United States of America. The fire district treasurer, as chief fiscal officer of the fire district, is hereby authorized and directed to select the underwriter to purchase the refunding bonds and to enter into an agreement or agreements containing such terms and conditions as he shall deem proper with the fiscal agent of the purpose of having such bank or trust company or banks or trust companies act in connection with the refunding bonds as the fiscal agent for said fire district to perform the services described in section 70 of the local financial law and to execute such an agreement or agreements on behalf of the fire district, regardless of whether the refunding bonds are initially issued in certificated or non-certificated form, provided, however, that the fire district treasurer is also hereby authorized to name the fire district secretary as fiscal agent in connection with the refunding bonds if said refunding bonds are issued in non-certificated form. Section 4. The Fire District Treasurer is hereby further delegated all powers of this Board of Fire Commissioners with respect to agreements and for credit enhancement derived from and pursuant to Section 168 of the local finance law for said refunding bonds, including but not limited to determination of the provider of such credit enhancement facility or facilities and the terms and contents of any agreement or agreements related thereto. Section 5. The refunding bond shall be executed in the name of the Fire District by the manual or facsimile signature of the Fire District Treasurer, and a facsimile of its corporate seal shall be imprinted or impressed thereon. In the event of the facsimile signature, the refunding bond shall be authenticated by the manual signature of an authorized officer or employee of the fiscal agent. The refunding bond shall contain the recital required by subdivision 4 of paragraph J of section 90.10 of the local finance law, if applicable, and the recital of validity clause provided for in section 52 of the local finance law, and shall otherwise be in such form and contain such recitals in addition to those required by section 51 of the local finance law as the district treasurer shall determine. It is hereby determined that it is the financial advantage of the fire district not to impose and collect from registered owners of the refunding bonds any charges for mailing, shipping, and insuring bonds transferred or exchanged by the fiscal agent. And accordingly, pursuant to paragraph C of section 70 of the local finance law, no charges shall be so collected by the fiscal agent. Section 6. It is hereby determined that A, the maximum amount of the refunding bonds authorized to be issued pursuant to this resolution does not exceed the limitations imposed by subdivision 1 of paragraph B of section 90.10 of the local finance law, if applicable. B, the maximum period of probable usefulness permitted by the law at the time of the issuance of the refunding bonds for each of the objects or purposes for which such respective refunded bonds were issued is as set forth in bond determination certificates relating thereto, which are incorporated herein by reference. C, the last installment of the refunding bonds will mature not later than the expiration of the period of probable usefulness of each of the objects or purposes for which said respective refunded bonds were issued in accordance with the provisions of subdivision 1 of paragraph C of section 90.10 of the local finance law. D, the estimated present value of the total debt service savings anticipated as a result of the issuance of the refunding bonds, if any, computed in accordance with the provisions of subdivision 2 of paragraph B of section 90.1 of the local finance law, is as shown in the refunding financial plan described in section 7 hereof. Section 7, the financial plan for the refunding authorized by this resolution, collectively the refunding financial plan, shows the sources and amounts of all monies required to accomplish such refunding, the estimated present value of the total debt service savings, and the basis for the computation of the aforesaid estimated present value of total debt services savings are set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto and made a part of this resolution. The refunding financial plan has been prepared based upon the assumption that the refunding bonds will be issued in the principal amount of $1,775,000 and that the refunding bonds will mature, be of such terms, and bear interest as set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto and made a part of this resolution. The Board of Fire Commissioners recognizes the amount of the refunding bonds, maturities, terms, and interest rate or rates borne by the refunding bond to be issued by the Fire District would most probably be different from such assumptions, and that the refunding financial plan will also most probably be different from that attached hereto as Exhibit A. The Fire District Treasurer is hereby authorized and directed to determine the amount of the refunding bonds to be issued, the date or dates of such bonds, and the date or dates of issue, maturities, and terms thereof. The provisions relating to the redemption of refunding bonds prior to maturity, if any, whether the refunding bonds will be issued by a policy or policies of municipal bond issuance or otherwise enhanced by a credit enhancement facility or facilities. Whether the refunding bond shall be sold at a discount in manner authorized by paragraph C of section 57 of the local finance law, and the rate or rates of interest be borne thereby. Whether the refunding bond shall be issued with substantially level or declining annual debt services, and all matters related thereto, and to prepare or cause to be provided a final refunding financial plan for the refunding bond, and all powers in connection therewith are hereby delegated to the Fire District Treasurer, provided that the terms of the refunding bonds to be issued, including the rate or rates of interest borne thereby, shall comply with the requirements of section 90.10 of the local finance law if applicable. The Fire District Treasurer shall file a copy of his certificate determining the details of the refunding bonds and a final refunding financial plan with the Fire District Secretary no later than 10 days after the delivery of the refunding bonds as herein provided. Section 8. The Fire District Treasurer is hereby authorized to enter into an escrow contract, the escrow contract with a bank or trust company located and authorized to do business in this state, as said Fire District Treasurer shall designate, for the purpose of having the escrow holder act in connection with the refunding bonds as the escrow holder to perform the services described in section 90.10 of the local finance law if applicable. Section 9. The faith and credit of said Northwest Fire District, Onondaga County, New York, are hereby irrevocably pledged to the payment of the principal of and interest on the refunding bonds as the same respectively become due and payable. To the extent bond debt services on such bonds is not paid from other sources, there shall annually be levied on all the taxable real property in said fire district a tax sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on such refunding bonds as the same become due and payable. Section 10. To the extent required by the law, and if necessary to carry out the intent of the refunding financial plan, all the proceeds from the sale of the refunding bonds, including the premium, if any, but excluding accrued interest thereon, shall immediately upon receipt thereof be placed in escrow with the escrow holder for the refunding bonds. Accrue interest, if any, on the refunding bond shall be paid by the fire district to be expended to pay interest on the refunding bonds on the first interest payment date thereof. Such proceedings as are deposited in the escrow deposit fund to be created and established pursuant to the escrow contract, whether in the form of cash or investment or both, exclusive of any interest earned from the investment thereof, shall be irrevocably committed and pledged to the payment of the principal of and interest on the refunded bonds in accordance with section 90 and 90.1 of the local finance law, if applicable. And the holders from time to time of the refunded bonds shall have a lien upon such money held by the escrow holder. Such pledge and lien shall become valid and binding upon the issuance of the refunding bonds, and the monies and investments held by the escrow holder for the refunded bonds in the escrow deposit shall immediately be subject thereto without any further act. Such pledge and lien shall be valid and binding against all district parties having claims of any kind in tort, contract, or otherwise against the fire district, irrespective of whether such parties have notice thereof. Section 11. Notwithstanding any other provisions of the resolution, so long as any of the refunding bonds shall be outstanding, the fire district shall not commit or permit the use of any proceedings from the sale of the refunding bonds in any manner which would cause the refunding bonds to be arbitrage bond as defined in section 148 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, as amended, and to the extent applicable. The regulations promulgate by the United States Treasury thereunder as then in effect. Section 12, in accordance with the terms of the refunded bonds and the bond certificate related thereto, as well as the provisions of section 53 and of paragraph H of section 90.10 of the local finance law, if applicable, and subject only to the issuance of the refunding bonds as herein authorized. The fire district hereby elects to call in and redeem each series of refunded bonds on their respective first optional redemption date. The sum to be paid thereof on such redemption date shall be the par value thereof plus the redemption premium, if any, as provided in the refunded bond certificate, and the accrued interest to such redemption date. The escrow agent for the refunding bonds is hereby authorized and directed to cause notice of such call for redemption to be given in the name of the fire district in the manner and within the time provided in the refunding bonds. Such notice of redemption shall be in substantially the form attached to the escrow contract. Upon the issuance of the refunding bonds, the election to call in and redeem the callable refunded bonds and the direction to the escrow agent to cause notice thereof to be given as provided in this paragraph shall become irrevocable, provided that this paragraph may be amended from time to time as may be necessary in order to comply with the publication requirements of paragraph A of section 53 of the local finance law or any successor law thereof. Section 13, the refunding bond shall be sold at public competitive sale or a private sale to an investment bank to be selected by the fire district treasurer, the underwriter, for such purchase price as shall be determined by the fire district treasurer plus accrued interest, if any, from the date of the refunding bonds to the date of delivery of and payment for the refunding bonds. Subject to the approval of the terms and conditions of such private sale by the state comptroller as required by subdivision 2 of paragraph F of section 90.1 of the local finance law, if applicable. The fire district treasurer is hereby authorized to execute and deliver a purchase contract or similar agreement for the refunding bonds in the name and on behalf of the fire district, providing the terms and conditions for the sale and delivery of refunding bonds to the underwriter. Section 14, the fire district treasurer and all other officers, employees, and agents of the fire district are hereby authorized and directed for and on behalf of the fire district to execute and deliver all certificates and other documents, perform all acts, and do all things required or contemplated to be executed, performed, and done by this resolution or any document or agreement approved hereby. Section 15, all other matters pertaining to the terms and issuance of the refunding bond shall be determined by the fire district treasurer, and all powers in connection thereof are hereby delegated to the fire district treasurer. Section 16, the validity of the funding bonds may be contested only if, number 1, such obligations are authorized for an object or purpose for which said fire district is not authorized to expend money, or, number 2, the provisions of law which should be complied with at the date of publication of this resolution are not substantially complied with, and an action, suit, or proceeding contesting such validity is commenced within 20 days after the date of such publication, or, number 3, such obligations are authorized in violation of the provisions of the Constitution. Section 17, a summary of this resolution, which takes effect immediately, shall be published in the official newspapers of said fire district, together with a notice of the fire district secretary in substantially the form provided in section 81 of the local finance law. Section 18, the law firm of Trespass and Marquardt LLP is appointed bond counsel for the refunding bond, dated May 11, 2021. Let me read again.
No. Tony?
You had me. I was going to read that again. Yes.
Or Rick?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
And you see the bottom of page 1, just do that for me.
It was moved by the commissioners. It was moved by, that part you want, Rick?
Yeah, if one of you has to.
You have to make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I make a motion to accept the bond resolution? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the bond resolution. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Chris. So it was moved by Commissioner Ravis and seconded by Commissioner Curry that the following resolution be adopted.
I'm glad you read that.
We did it wrong. All right, that is all I have for financial. Tony, truck maintenance?
Yeah, I have a quote from Ken's Collision that I'd like to act on. As I had mentioned, I want to fix one of the chief's cars to make it suitable to take the classes in a backup chief car. It's only going to require 196 from Ken's Collision. That's gonna replace the lift gates, put new hinges on that, and I gotta have the oil changed as well from Noble's while it's over there. But long story short, I'd like to make a motion to purchase and have that work completed by Ken's Collision for $196.
I'll second that. And also just, we did budget $1,500 to cover it because we knew we'd have expenses to bring it up to snuff to hang on to it, so the money's there.
Okay? We good with that? And then,
Great.
oh, I didn't,
You made the motion.
I make a motion.
You seconded it.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thanks. But also, along those lines, I'd like, and I don't know if you had done this last month, I can't remember. I'd like to create a resolution to discard the other chief's vehicle. I don't have the VIN number with me, but I'll get it.
Okay, once you get it to me, then I'll create the resolution and bring it up at next month's meeting.
Okay, well, my idea is to turn it over to the training committee. I would rather not. I don't believe it's safe to put on the road, and I don't want our name tied to it. Okay? All right, I'll get that for you this week.
Yeah, just give me, it's the 2010, right?
Yes, one of the 2010s.
Yeah, just give me the
Do
VIN
we
number.
know
and I'll
which
do the
one?
resolution.
I can tell you which one it's not. This is the one we're keeping, it's the other one. I can
Does
give
he
you-
have a plate number on that?
I don't know, the VIN number is there.
I don't care about the VIN number, I care about the plate
I
number.
don't know. And the other, engine 11, engine 1, the Toin is being repaired right now from the accident, as I had communicated.
Oh, good, I can tell the insurance company.
As soon as engine 11 is back, that the PM's being completed as well as the repair, and ladder 2, or I'm sorry, that ladder is being PM. Thank you, engine 31. So I didn't want to do any more until engine 11 is returned. That's it.
Building and grounds, Jeff?
Getting quotes to do the ceiling of the park lot at the station. Just feeling out people I've talked to, it might cost a little bit more than we budgeted, not what your budget is for it, so just be so you're aware of that, and quotes come in for that. Also, the two stations, Station 1 and 2, was cleaned up and organized the stations very nicely. They've done a good job. Caught on with what we're trying to do. So, I got some stuff at Station 4 to do.
Jeff, I have something I'd like you to just poke, seeing how we're coming into budget. Oh, you still got more? I thought you stopped, sorry, I'm sorry.
Also budget stuff, I got a list of several projects to consider. Some put together to look at budget-wise, so 4 or 5 projects. Some I'm gonna probably push a little bit harder than others, but I just getting quotes, just ideas to keep the stations looking good.
Do you have numbers on the ceiling?
I got one the other day, it was a little over 11,000.
Oh, wow, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I think we budgeted 8.
I guess with everything else, I never really thought about the increase with everything's going up, oil prices and everything. But that's only one.
Would you, before the budget meeting, just so would you get a number to see what it would cost to do the paving for Station 2 from the Village Green entrance?
Oh, you already got it.
Oh, you already have the number? Okay, I just want to talk about it at budget time. Okay, thank you.
It's gonna be a big problem, it's over 20,000.
Yeah,
So,
I get that, I'm sure it was.
I got somebody to look at it, throw a price at it.
Okay, yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. Wayne?
Yes. I have the following requests. You want me to read down through any of them, or does anybody have any questions on any of them?
I'll make a motion to take care of RTPs, 7 of the RTPs for a total of $1,090. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Is there anything else?
Yes, I had several requests. The old generators that we have up at Station 5, that I'm working on putting the stuff together to sell that we surplus. I've had several members ask if they could bid on them, and so I'm asking if the commissioners had an issue if we offered it to our members first. It would be a sealed bid. Basically, I would number the generators. There's 5 of them, I believe, and none of them do work. I mean, it's minor work probably to get them going, just because there was no maintenance done on them on routine, so it probably needs basically a carburetor kit. Maybe some hoses are dry rotted, you know, fuel hoses or something are dry rotted, but it would be up to the member if they can get it going. I would like to offer it to the members first. If you guys are okay with that, it would basically be a sealed bid. They would give me the bids and we would open them at a specific date, and then it would be an as-is. You know, if they can't fix it, I don't want it back. So.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's, as long as they clearly understand that they're as is and they don't run.
Well, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I do think that we should put a minimum on the bid. Because we did this once before and somebody bid like $5 and that was.
Well, we could just put, we have a right to refusal of all bids,
We
but
can, but
you know what? I
put
hate
a
to,
minimum of $25 on it and that way it
yeah. Is it, can we legally do that?
do a sealed bid.
I know we can seal bid, but just to the member.
I agree with him.
I mean, we could put it out there and just say any reasonable bids.
No, I get that, but my point is, can we just restrict it to a certain group? Because that's what we're per se saying. I know we can do sealed bid, but can we legally just restrict it to within the 4 walls, for lack of a better term?
Well, once it's been declared surplus, I'm assuming you can do with what you want.
So what if an outside member wants to bid on it? That's what I'm saying. Can we legally restrict that? That's all I'm asking.
I mean,
I don't see why not. We can propose to Brad first.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt just to ask the lawyer. If he says good, I'm good. How's that?
Honestly, I'd be surprised if they don't run and it's disclosed and we put them on the auction site. I'd be surprised if you get much for them anyways.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. Yeah, as long as it's legal, I'm good. I'm good.
I mean, not for nothing, it'd probably be more hassle to put them on the auction
Right.
site, then you're probably gonna pay more to the auction site than you're gonna get for them.
Yeah.
Like, you can buy a generator for $400.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I mean,
Yeah, as long as it's legal, I'm way good with
A lot of
it.
the guys are handy. They can probably get it
Yeah.
running and with a small investment, so.
pretty old and beat, so they're not really worth much of anything.
Did you have anything else?
No, that was all that I had.
Hang tight. After I talk to Brad, we'll get back to it.
Are we making progress on the other stuff, Wayne, as far as the stuff that we're gonna post on
I
that?
have it all, I have all the pictures and everything, and then, I am writing it up. I mean, it's a lengthy process on that part, but yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm hoping within, you know, the next month I'll have everything together and, get it submitted and get it posted.
Okay.
So, and we'll see how it comes back. I mean, I wish, you know, I knew of, neighboring departments that might want the stuff, but, you know,
Yeah.
we'll try the auction and see where it goes.
Thank you.
Wayne, quick, I know you and I were shooting back and forth on it. I didn't get it to you soon enough or come up with a plan. We were talking about some signs for cameras or surveillance that go on the outside of the building. We have nothing up at Station 3 right now. And if we do anything, it might be worth doing the ones around here since they're all yellow and discolored. So after we were talking, I just, based on each station, I put 15 total, $8 each. I don't know if that's something we want to do now to get them up on Station 3 as soon as possible. Comes up to be $120. So I'd like to make a motion to buy 15 security camera signs for Station 5 for Station 1, 5 for Station 2, and 5 for Station 3 for a total of $120.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I will. Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'll shoot over an email to them with you on it, and they can get started and get a PO from you.
Safety. Papa.
Good evening. We've got a light list here. Illness, injury, near miss reports, none have been submitted, so we're doing very well in that aspect. We've had no reports at this time, and it's good. We'll keep that up. Member Assistance Program, those of you that are part of the leadership role here have been notified to make the time available if you can down here at Station 1 at 7 p.m. on the 17th. We'll have a representative from ESP McNeil here to demonstrate or to discuss the program and how it works for us. The company has it. We already have it available to us, and with the conditions in the world today, it's a good thing to have. A good place to go. So that'll be coming up pretty quick. From there, it'll be decided how we want to report it out and how we want to implement the program based on ESP and Neil's process. COVID-19, there's some new information out. I'd rather read this down through. My intent was to post this at least the 4 of the 5 stations and try to keep up with a regular posting when this information comes out. So we got a place that people can go, and it gives websites if people want to copy that down, or if we want to blow out some of the particulars out of the, in this case, it's what you need to know. It talks about businesses and quarantine, stuff that we should probably continue to share with our membership so they know what's going on. Last thing is chlorine shortage. I don't know how many of you have pools here, and you know chlorine is a piece of that fun and sun in the summertime. The major manufacturing plant that makes the stuff, makes the pellets, was destroyed in a fire not too long ago. So now there's a crunch. Where my concern comes in is we as responders, first responders, typically you might find in a residential situation a 5-gallon container. As people are hoarding it, if you will, you may find more than that and have a larger situation to deal with. So pre-planning helps out, knowing where the stuff is stored, both industrially and residential, and the ERG, Emergency Response Guidebook, for those that are responding first due on an incident, can give them the actions. They're not going to tell you the difference between 100 pounds and 500 pounds, but if you got a 500-pound tablet fire, it's going to be pretty big. And chlorine, as most of you know, is pretty rough stuff, pretty nasty stuff. So just want to make people aware. When we hear things like that, people have a tendency to go buy more, make a bigger fire if they have a problem. Any questions? Please keep up the great work as far as our, keeping our injuries at 0 and illnesses at 0. That's a record to be proud of. I know that's not something that we hear a lot from the rest of our departments around the county, but I have heard some information that there's several of them, including us, that are doing really well in that aspect. So let's keep it up. No one has any questions on the safety brief?
Bill, do you have blank copies for the log?
Say again?
Do you have the blank copies?
No, but I'll get some. I noticed that tonight as well. Run over. I'll check all the stations tonight, tomorrow. Make sure we got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chief comments, Assistant Chief Kelly.
For the month of April, the district ran 63 calls. We had 1,025 members that responded, average of 16.2 members per call. Station 1 had 409 members for an average of 6.49. Squad 1 responded to 18 calls, Engine 11, 23 calls, Truck 1, 11 calls. Station 2, 189 members for an average of 3 members per call. Squad 2 responded to 15 calls, Engine 21 responded to 12 calls. Station 3, 318 members for an average of 5.04 members per call. Squad 3 responded to 8 calls, Engine 31 responded to 2 calls, Rescue Pumper 3 responded to 23 calls. Station 4, 72 members for an average of 1.14 members per call. Squad 4 responded to 6 calls, Engine 41 responded to 2 calls, and Tanker 4 responded to 2 calls. Breakdown by the calls, the 100 codes, which is fire related, we had 6 calls. 200 calls, which are explosion, 0. 300, which is rescue and EMS, we had 23 calls. 400 codes, which is hazards, 5 calls. 500 codes, service call, is 15 calls. 600 code, which is good intent, 2 calls. 700 code, which is false alarms, 11 calls. 800 code, which is weather related, 1 call. And 900 code, which is a special, 0 calls. Other than that, Chief Deacon, not leaving anything else to cover for you guys.
Thank you. Don't make it off tonight, so I have to.
Okay.
Run, quick.
Nominations and resignations, we have 2 from Baldwinsville, Ed George and Billy Long. None from Lysander, no new members, and no updates. Old business. I have a couple of things on Station 3. I'll go through the 2 that are quick ones. June 4th, CS Arch is coming back to do a photo op. I will be meeting him out there. I think the time is 11 to 2-ish. And I am going to try to get some of the Station 3 members to come out to be included in the photos if they would like. If I can't get Station 3 members, I'm then going to open it up to other members. It was brought to my attention from Jeff, and I owe him this update. I'm just kind of starting to get this process done, that there's been a water pressure issue at Station 3. I did meet with the plumbers that input the plumbing system, and we walked through a bunch of stuff, and he suggested that I go back to IPD, who is the designer of the system. So I am meeting with Tom Friday at 8:30, so I can show him exactly what the problem is, and then we're going to go from there. But I believe that in the end, the solution is going to be we're going to have to put in a booster pump to get the water pressure up. So stay tuned. I will get you more information after Friday, but that's where we're at for that. And then the other thing I just wanted to just kind of circle back on quickly, doesn't have to be a huge, but we had talked about kind of doing a grand opening for Station 3, and then Station 3 got delayed. And then opening was in December, and the heyday of second round of COVID, so we didn't do anything. Now that things are starting to settle back down, do we want to do something? Do we want to do a small scale thing, just maybe invite the paper and do a quick ribbon cutting? Do we want to try to do a more open concept? I saw a couple of different departments do things. It was really for fire trucks, but I thought it was a great idea. Like they did a Facebook Live, and maybe do something where they showed the vehicle. We could do something like that. Maybe if COVID is still an issue, we could do maybe a Facebook Live to show the fire station. So just throwing it out there so you guys can maybe put some thought into it, and maybe circle back to the workshop and see what anybody's opinion is, what we do going forward if we do anything.
Sounds good.
All right. Any other old business? Okay, new business, there is nothing on the agenda. Does anybody have anything that's come up? No, okay.
Yeah, I have one item, Station 3. So close. Somebody's putting graffiti on the sidewalk over by the pickup. And I don't think that camera that's over there is facing in that direction close enough. But we'll have to clean that up. Looks like they did it with a paint pen.
Do you know, like, approximately, like, time, maybe?
I don't know, we noticed it the other day. So,
Okay, well, the other day was that Saturday, was it Friday, was it?
Monday,
Thursday.
Is it that little section kind of under the overhang?
it's under the overhang.
There was a bunch or a little section there before we even opened. So I'm not sure if it was.
By the front entrance to the,
No, it's down, it's almost like.
Right behind your
the
truck.
pickup.
Right behind the pickup,
Yeah.
the camera does
okay,
pick it
that's,
up.
Does it?
Yeah,
yeah, that's a difference.
Yeah. When that happened, I couldn't tell you about it.
Because the one I'm talking about was like right around. Like,
That was it before we even.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like right in here.
yeah.
We'll look at the footage, see if we can find something. Oh, station usage, sorry.
What, sorry, Wayne, you said you noticed it Thursday?
I think it was last Thursday.
Station 1, chicken barbecue, June 6th.
Speaking of the chicken barbecue, did the food permit come? Does anybody know?
Yes.
I was gonna say, I'd have to assume yes, because I haven't heard back from Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard a
actually
word
did
since-
Friday.
You can check, it should be hanging up in the kitchen.
Okay. I will do that.
The exercise group would like to resume their weekly class out at Station 4, which we agreed to, and the only other one that was asked was if the Boy Scouts could use this station June 12th for their Pinewood Derby.
I don't have a problem
We
with Boy Scouts, based on the numbers that
The
that
25,
was emailed, and I think there's plenty of space on the truck floor to,
put the trucks out.
I guess he just coordinates it with the station officers and the station chief, so they know what's going on.
Do we want to have them enter the system after the station?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Okay. And that was it for station usage. Any comments from the public?
Just can I do that about your opening to Station 3? Because it's been a really long time coming for you guys, for all of us actually. And I can see the hesitancy to not open it to the public, but perhaps you have the mayor, the two town supervisors, like you said, a Facebook thing. I'm not on Facebook, so I wouldn't benefit from that, but then they can bring it to their meetings and say we officially, have met with the Northwest Fire District. But just an idea, you were asking for ideas, and I think that, it's a way to start the, pebble in the pond so people actually are aware who don't live right there, know that it's finally done. That's it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. I do not believe there's any need for an executive session. Next meeting will be the workshop on Tuesday, May 25th, and the monthly meeting on June 8th. And with that, I will make a motion to close the meeting at 8:04. Do I have a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Is he gonna play a nice